I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well. Thank you so much for joining us. Has it been a
Thank you
good
for
day for
having
you?
me.
Has it been a good day for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty sweet so far, I have to say.
Yeah?
I've relocated to a cupboard.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I've left Brooklyn and I'm just outside the city in Long Island for a little bit.
Has it
Yeah.
been a spiritual day for you? Has it been a day of kind of like getting things in order? Because I know a lot of my friends are kind of still trying to settle with a lot of admin stuff that they put off for a long, long time. So
Yes.
what have you been up to?
So to be honest with you, I'm having to take this time as a bit of a pause on the old admin and creating. My daughter Cleo, she is in homeschooling, which pretty much requires someone over her shoulder making sure that she's actually doing it. So I'm trying to take this as an opportunity to just slow down, listen
Beautiful.
to the lessons that I think Mother Nature is telling us right now.
Yeah, right.
Um, yeah, and just look at it as a time to double down on my spiritual practice. So that's been beautiful.
Beautiful. I'm looking forward to getting into what your spiritual practice is and what you do on a
Yeah.
daily basis. But those of you that are tuning in, thank you also so much for joining this conversation. Do let us know where in the world you're tuning in from, what you've been doing today. Has it been a spiritual day for you? And for those of you that don't know Zoe, where have you been hiding? Probably under a rock, because she's awesome. She's done so many amazing things. She's a British artist. I have to say British because, you know, we have to have some ownership there.
Yes, most there.
Yeah,
London. I
British
like to say
artist,
London.
photographer, producer, and she's doing some phenomenal stuff in all those fields. So we're really blessed. But above and beyond all those things, I respect her so much because she's really grounded in her spiritual life. She prioritizes that, and I think that she's got so many wonderful insights that she can share with us. So I wanted to just hit it off straight from the bat. What do you do? What is your spiritual practice? How did you find it? Because I know that you weren't kind of, were you born into a spiritual kind of culture at home? And maybe you can share a
No,
little bit
not
about
at
life as it
all.
was.
Yeah, so I'm culturally Jewish. My mother was
Okay.
Jewish, and that was a big part of her identity. It's also a big part of my identity in terms of my roots in this lifetime.
Wow.
But it wasn't a religious family. We weren't secular Jews. We didn't really observe anything apart from we observed the eating of food, the sharing of jokes and banter,
Love it.
and some slang. Actually, I should shout out because today is Passover. So happy
Oh,
Pesach. Yes, today is
happy
Passover.
faces, yeah.
Um, but no, it wasn't a particularly spiritual upbringing in that sense. Um, but I always had this strong connection to India, and I actually went there twice, age 18 on my gap year, fell in love with the land, and then went back 1 year later. But those journeys to India, those first two, were not necessary. I wasn't really a seeker
Wow.
per se in that way. So basically, I guess my path to this incredible community and tradition,
Hey,
uh,
we're back.
the joys
The
of
world
Long
is,
Island
yeah.
Wi-Fi.
No, it's technology. Don't worry, these things happen.
Mate, I think also I have like a screen time limit, which might pop up at some point. If that
Oh, fine.
happens, I'm trying to limit my screen time.
That's really good.
Trying.
That's really
Um,
awesome.
hey Spencer. Oh, this is fun. Look, Abby Drucker. Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna try not to look down there because I'll just like laser
Thank you also
focus
so
on
much for
the.
joining.
Sorry, Prabhu. So I was saying,
No worries.
right. So I learned a meditation practice, and it was Vedic meditation. I got a
Hmm.
bija mantra. And man, for anyone who calls it TM, transcendental meditation, that is another name for it. And I just went in. I went so deep, so quickly, Radhika. Like
Wow.
I, it felt like I'd done it before. I felt like something had clicked, like I was returning home in a sense. And
Wow.
I was having these wild experiences and speaking to some teachers and gurus in the community. And they were like, how long have you been doing this? I was like, 2 months. They're like,
Damn.
okay, that's unusual, some of these
Wow.
experiences, but I'll just go with it. And I loved it. I loved it. Um,
And this is when this is really, really recently or like a
no,
couple
this
of
was
years
like
ago?
8 years ago,
Oh, wow.
8 years
Okay.
ago in New York.
Wow.
But to be completely frank, there were some things that I found off-putting about the industry of teaching meditation. And
Ooh,
and
I think there might be another issue. Oh, we got
right.
you back. You buffered in there. Sorry.
Oh,
The internet
sorry,
went.
man.
No, don't worry. What were you saying?
I was saying that I encountered some disillusionment with the industry of meditation teachers, and that there had been some gurus who were abusing their power, and I found that quite off-putting. And I remember talking to my dear friend, this teacher, Charlie Knowles, and I was like, I think I might just give up on meditation.
Wow.
I don't like this. I don't like what I see. And he was like, Zoe, how do you feel when you meditate? So I feel great. And he was like, well, you know what, stay with it, because there are human beings who are corrupted and become corrupted, but the mantra comes from Sanskrit. It comes from something that has transcended human beings, and you seem to love it. So I stuck with it. And then I heard about this amazing Ayurvedic practitioner called Bud. He went by Bud at the time. I'm talking about Virabhadra.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I want an Ayurvedic massage. I'm going to book that. So I booked this session, and I got an address, and I showed up in the East Village, and it was a tenement building. And it was, of course, the Bhakti Center, but I didn't know it was the Bhakti Center. And I didn't know what Bhakti was, or ISKCON, or any of that stuff. And because I got the elevator up to their apartment, I bypassed the temple, the yoga studio, and all of that stuff. And I showed up, and I stepped into this world where I met Virabhadra and instantly knew that he was going to be a teacher and a brother. I met his incredible, now wife, then girlfriend, Diana, who with Shaima, her sister, taught me yoga. I did yoga teacher training with them. I met Shaima, the angel, and Jai, Shaima's now husband. So I felt like I'd stepped into this, like, hi. That was my Instagram limit.
No worries.
So yeah, so I stepped into this like Vedic Bhakti sitcom, still not knowing anything about where I was, and just instantly felt like these people were very genuine. And no one embodies that mode of service more than Virabhadra that I've ever encountered. He's completely locked into whomever he's serving at the time.
Totally agree. And
just creates this like open environment. It's such a fountain of wisdom and compassion, and they all are. And I very quickly started to debate with them and ask them questions and start to, I don't know, it became a space of discussion and discourse, which I really appreciated.
Amazing.
And then Buckman G. And then sometime after that, they said to me, would you like to join us for some food? And I was like, yeah. I was going maybe once a month for a session with Bud. And they said, would you like to have some food? I said, yes. And they said, we're just going to do an offering first. I was like, great. Awesome. They said, we chant.
You're totally into it. You didn't even like think twice.
No, I was just like, offering. Yeah, great. You know, I just had like an amazing mama massage. I was like, what do we chant? They said, the Maha Mantra. I said, don't know it. They said it goes, Hare Krishna, Krishna. I went, hold up. Hold up. Y'all Hare Krishna? They were like, yeah, that's one name for it. Yeah, what does that mean to you? And I was like, that means the guys in the orange with the ponytails in airports. And they went, yeah, we don't really do that. But we are devotees of Radhanath Swami, and we're devotees of the Bhakti Center, and you should really come to Kirtan sometime if you want. So I was like, okay.
That's phenomenal. Wow.
I can give it a go. And so, sorry, this is a very long-winded story.
No, but it's beautiful. It's just like, you have to know the beginning if you're going to know the person now. So
totally.
For sure it makes sense.
So I wandered down to the temple room with them, and I'm not going to lie, my first Kirtan experience, it wasn't a love at first sight experience. That was my second Kirtan experience.
I'm glad you're honest.
Yes, I think one has to be. Satya, right?
Yeah.
So I show up at Kirtan and I sit down, and I just had this crisis of vanity and ego, actually, in that I sat down and I thought, I don't belong here. I don't look like I belong here. They can tell I don't belong here. She looks like she belongs here. He does. I don't. What do I do with my hands? Like, it was just, I just had this, yeah, I was just confronted with all of the, I guess, I don't know, feelings of the surface and not what's deeper than that. And then they started to do that thing that happens often in Kirtan, which is when the people who are sitting close, as you know, obviously, will do a round each.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to die, because I actually thought it was mandatory that everyone had to sing. So all I kept thinking was, when's the microphone going to come to me? Oh my God, I can't do this. I don't want to have to do, why do I have to do this? I've had 2 surgeries on my vocal cords, so I have this permanently scratched voice. And I was just, I wanted to run from the building. And then I realized, oh, okay, it's not a mandatory thing. Maybe I can stay a little longer. Now, just fast forwarding, the second time that I went to Kirtan, I then I started to experience some difficulties in my home life, and it started to look as if me and my ex-husband were separating. And so I was very vulnerable, and, you know, it's grief. It's the end of something. And I really was looking for a space and an experience that could kind of help me through. And Bud said, oh, you know, why don't you come down to Kirtan again? And I was like, yeah, okay. And so I followed him down, and I don't know what was different. Obviously it was me and the space that I was in. I just locked right in. I sat down. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care who was around me. I didn't care about anything in the material sense. And I just let the mantra enter my heart, I guess. And I started to clap, and I closed my eyes, and then I started to sing, and I didn't care if I sounded croaky, and I started to raise my hands in the air, and I experienced ecstasy and joy and like a real sense of binding back to my source. And I realized in that moment that actually I had experienced that before, and I had been seeking it for a long time, because I actually, when I was 15, I used to go raving in London, and I used to take ecstasy, X, and I would have these experiences where I was connected to the bass of the music. It was drum and bass raves, and I was there like dancing ecstatically and having what I felt was like a individual experience and also a collective unconscious experience with everyone in the room all focused on this one thing. But of course that's unhealthy, unsustainable, dangerous. And so I realized in that second Kirtan that I had found what I was looking for. Yeah. And then it was like, when are we going to India? You know?
Sign me up. I'm
exactly.
down. Wow.
Exactly.
I really appreciate it, because you know why? One, you were really honest with your experience, and I think that takes a lot of credit. And I think a lot of people who see what we do in the Kirtan scene, in the Bhakti scene, they see only the pictures. And when you see the pictures, you're like, okay, everyone's like blissing out, bhaving out,
right,
having a really nectarian time. But then some people, when they come to the Kirtan for the first time, it's totally bewildering. Like, people are chanting a language you don't know.
Right.
Most of the time, there's no one that's at the door explaining it. So you're just kind of walking into the unknown. And also how you've had these experiences, kind of the bogey yogis, like meeting all these people where you weren't sure whether they're genuine, authentic. And it's so kind of in tune with how I feel nowadays people are attaching themselves to spiritual life, because you have to kind of go through almost like the sifting process to find what's really real and what's kind of just being kind of placebo effect on you, you know.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you were honest about it being not your first experience, but in the second one, there was almost like a surrendering moment, like you had to just let go, and then something could really happen in the heart.
Absolutely.
And I mean, since then, I know you went to India, so maybe you can share with us some highlights, or maybe a story or two that I'm sure there are hundreds, because anyone that goes to India, especially with like the Bhakti Center or with a crew that really kind of knows how to go to the essence, you're sure to have a good experience and sure to have moments of bliss, moments of ecstasy. So maybe there's
Yeah,
a story there for you.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I got a bunch, so I'll pick one. But so
Oh,
I've been on pilgrimage with the Bhakti Center with Virabhaja and Diana 3 times now, and it's
whoa! I didn't know it was 3 times. That's okay. That's
my
cool.
auntie.
Hope she's
Um,
well.
she is, I'm sure. So yeah, so I've been 3 times, and this last time I went with my daughter Cleo, and it was her first experience of India, and just seeing it through her eyes. And having just, bhakti is devotion, is love, right? And there's no more immediate way, I think, for me personally, to experience now in the present day my devotion, my bhakti, actually, than
Mm,
with my daughter. So it was just incredible. I went also with some intentions involving scattering my mother's ashes at the Ganges in Rishikesh.
that's
She had
beautiful.
passed, yeah. She
Wow.
passed about just over a year ago. And that experience, which was facilitated by Bud and Rasika and Doyal and another friend of ours, and I had
Wow.
Cleo by my side, was, I think, one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
I
Absolutely.
can imagine.
Um, but there was this other thing that happened at the eco village, which was pretty wild, actually. So Janavi Harrison, obviously,
Yeah.
Sister Janavi, who we adore. She, we'd met up shortly before I left to go to India, and she said to me, Zoe, you have to go. Oh, look, Vanessa German's in the house. Amazing. She said to me, Zoe, you have to go to the Madan Mohan temple, which they've installed in the eco village. So during the evening, I'd seen there's these queues of local devotees to line up and take darshan to view the altar.
Mm,
And I hadn't joined that queue. I hadn't made it. We'd been doing other things. And on our last day at the ashram, Govardhan Eco Village, I took Cleo with me, and we walked down to this incredible temple. For those of you who don't know, it looks a bit like the Gherkin, the
yeah. It's got
London.
like a shape like,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's all like red brick. It's beautiful.
yeah.
And I was like, I had Janavi's intention that she had given me as I got there. And it just so turned out that Rasika was there, and she was finishing up praying. And she was like, do you want me to take Cleo and go play with her so that you can
Wow.
be alone? And I said, yeah, thanks. So there I am. I'm alone in the baking hot Mumbai sun with nothing but one guy under a parasol keeping watch. And I thought, I don't know what to do, really. Like, the temple, it has a kind of a window where you view the deities. Oh my God, perfect. And that's the original one
Yeah,
in
that's the one in Vrindavan. I'm trying to
Vrindavan,
find.
right?
Oh, I think this is it here.
Yes, that's
In the
it. It's
blue.
up on a hill. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. It is Harry. So I get there and I go up to the altar, and the guy's beckoning at me what to do. And I'm like, okay, I do it. I take some sandalwood, I put it here, I take, I don't know, okay. Oh, and
Right.
I'm kind of feel like I'm winging the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
And I go to glance at the deities, and all I can see is like, I glimpse some dark black marble, shiny and beautiful, and I glimpse like flowers and jewels and sequins and garlands and malas, and I was like, it's too beautiful. I'm not ready. I can't handle that. I can no, can't do it. And so I was like, all right, I know now from this tradition that when you honor something, you walk around it 3 times clockwise.
Mm.
So I took my beads, walked around it once, chanting, got back to the front where the deities were, did a little side glance and was like, nah.
One more. One more.
I was like, one more, Buckman, come on, girl. And I think it was that I knew that I was going to have a big experience, and
Wow.
I was afraid. And I did a second round. I did a third one, and then was actually honestly getting a bit sweaty. By the third time, I sat in front of it again. I did the offerings again. And then I started with the feet, and I just began to look up. And when I got to the eyes of Krishna and Radha, but in particular Krishna, I locked in, and the sun was beating on my head, and I felt, it sounds a bit weird, bear with me people, I felt like love was actually like pouring in to my body. I had experienced a lot of grief and heartbreak and pain in 2019, and I felt like I was filling up with this love that was coming from these deities. And whilst it filled me up from the inside, starting with my feet, it got to my heart and knit it back together. And then I started to cry, and they were,
I'm about to cry now. You're building this up.
And they were tears of gratitude. I wasn't sat there going, why did you take my mum? Why did she have to leave? Why did that guy abandon me? I was there, all I could feel was thank you for giving me that time that I had with my mum. Thank you for choosing her as my mother. Thank you for freeing me from a relationship that was unable to support me. And I wept, and I don't know how long I was sat there, but it was really incredible. Hi, baby.
So moving. Is it Cleo in the background?
Cleo's just shown up.
Hey, Cleo.
Come say hey to us.
We've never met before. My name's Radhika. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
How you
What are you up to?
Nothing much. Nothing much.
Yeah? We were just talking about your trip to India.
What?
We were just talking about your trip to India and your mum's amazing time there.
Aw.
And she was brilliant. She just took to it.
Oh, really?
What are all those?
Those are comments from friends of ours, like my friends.
So people are just like watching you?
Yeah, they're watching you now.
Oh.
Do you have any
Hi,
message for all the people?
Do you want to do a quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a kirtan while we have this time and space.
Do you want to?
Yeah, why not?
Should we do a quickie?
Wait, what?
We're going to do a quick kirtan. Will you join us?
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, come on, come
No.
sit with me.
No, I want to do handstands.
Oh, she wants to do handstands. All right, baby, if you're going to do handstands, please don't do them in here. Cleo, please don't do them in here. But I would love you to join me for kirtan. Come on. Come sit.
I'll just sit and watch, I guess.
Aww.
And eventually join in, we hope.
Yes.
And read the comments.
So shall I start us off?
Yeah, sure. I have my magic music machine, which can hold a tone. So as soon as you start singing, I'm going to try, or I can even set the tone now.
Beautiful. Oh, wow.
So,
Those are a lot of hearts.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
What's happening?
it's like my magic box. I take it everywhere I go.
I love that. All right, can we do a quick invocation?
You can do it. I'm just watching.
All right. Om Gyana Timarandasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namida Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Murli Jaya Radha Murli Jaya Radha Murli Jaya Radhe.
Jaya Radha Murlidhara Radha Murlidhara Radhe.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha
Govinda.
Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe.
Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Shila Prabhupada.
Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaura Haribo.
Nithai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nithai Gaura Haribo.
Hey.
Wow,
Nittai
so
Gaura
nice.
Premananda Haribo.
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 So wonderful. It's so nice that even though we're miles and miles away, we can still connect through this, medium of kirtan, of mantra. And for those of you that are
Totally.
watching that have never kind of experienced that, this might have been a totally bewildering experience for you. And we totally get it, because it's not that the first time you hear the mantra, immediately the heavens are going to part. But sound vibration is so pure and transcendental that when one sings or when one chants with the mood of love, for grace, for divinity, for God, then your heart will open and immediately you'll feel that years and years, lifetimes and lifetimes of pain and suffering and frustration will just go out the window. And I still remember the first experience I had with kirtan. I sat at the back of the room, and my now guru was chanting at that time. And I sat at the back of the room and I was miming, because I was like, real men don't sing, real men don't chant, we don't do it. And so, but by the end of it, after like half an hour, 40 minutes, I was like dancing and jumping in the air like no man's business, and just thought, there's something here I need to experience, something here I need to explore. And 10 years later, here I am sitting in front of a harmonium, sharing it with others. And it's just amazing, the journey. I think every single person, if you ask anyone, whoever it is that's been on a spiritual journey, they'll all have a unique kind of path to kind of happiness in one sense. And it's such a blessing, honestly, to be able to chant with you in this way. It's so awesome. Thanks, Cleo.
I'm glad that thank you, baby. Thank you for
you.
joining us, you sweetheart. I did not know that, Radhika. All right.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So who was your guru? Who is your guru?
So my spiritual teacher is His Holiness Sachinandana Swami. He's German. Him and Radhika Swami are best friends. And so, this was in Spain in 2010. I got invited out to, go by a lot of friends. A lot of friends encouraged me, including Jay Shetty. He was like encouraging me, go on retreats, go and check out mantra. And I just thought, let me just go and see what it's all about. And I still remember even now, like when Janavi was here in London and she was kind of sharing a lot of mantra and kirtan, I would sit in the crowd and just be like, wow, this is amazing. I wish I could serve and, even just help to set up this event or something. And then one day she also invited, she's like, just come on the stage and sing with us. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'll sit in the crowd. It's no problem. And then, it's just somehow the other harmonium came my way. And then, you know how it is, you just start learning like you have just with the kartals. And I'm sure you probably have a harmonium at home as well, right?
I do. My harmonium's in Brooklyn. But
Wow.
Prabhu, I got to be honest with you. Like,
Hit me up.
you are amazing.
No,
You're talented. No, seriously. And I've sat in your kirtans actually. Because you lead for Kirtan London sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think,
I still
yeah,
remember you came to one kirtan that I did in in
Hyde
Hyde
Park.
Park. Yeah,
Cleo,
you were
you
standing
were
at the back
there.
and you're kind
Yeah,
of
but
like enjoying the kirtan. This is before we'd even met, and so I was like,
Exactly.
"Yo, she's really getting into this," but I don't know who she is. Maybe just pass her by. Like, how
Right.
did you hear about that event? Was it just
I
on
was so
internet or
into
something?
it. One sec, sweetheart, one
No
sec.
worries.
I heard from Janavi. So I met Janavi
Oh,
in New York, and obviously everyone, you know, even Maharaj said to me when my mother was
wow.
sick and I took counsel with him, he said, "You must play her Janavi Harrison's music." I said, "Done,
Wow.
already doing it." Um, but yeah, so I'd heard about Kirtan London through Janavi. And I showed up with Cleo and two of my friend Martha's children. And I had these kids hanging off my neck, and I was sweating, but I was like
I
at the back
remember.
really, really loving it. And you absolutely rocked it.
I still, it was a fun memory because I remember that was a special kirtan, like to be in a public space, and it's like anyone can just jump in. We're going to do it again once the lockdown's over. We're going to
Excellent.
just go into Hyde Park, into, you know, maybe a more grassy area, and just
Mm,
go for it and then see. I'm sure it'll attract the crowd.
absolutely.
So in terms of like
Awesome.
your daily practice, do you have something that kind of grounds you, like a sadhana practice that that maybe something you can share with everyone that maybe someone who's listening would be inspired to also try out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I yeah, I guess it's been growing and developing my sadhana. Sadhana is, as you said, it means a daily practice, and it's thought of to be one of the three tenets of spiritual life.
Hmm.
Um, and so some mornings I'm up for the 5 a.m. Wisdom of the
Whoa.
Sages live podcast with Raghunath and Kastuba, who are both teachers, one of them upstate, one of them at the Bhakti Center.
Yeah, Raghunath
Um,
joining us on Friday, by the way. So
oh,
we're gonna do it.
really?
Yeah, we're gonna do a conversation on Instagram as well.
Amazing,
So I'm looking forward to that.
amazing. He is wonderful. He's
Yeah,
just, yeah, excellent and so relatable, so
for
funny
sure, for
and
sure.
real. So sometimes it starts at 5 a.m., sometimes it does not. And then I'll do my, usually I'm at home in Brooklyn where I have an altar in my apartment, which is so, so dear to me. It's
Hmm.
amazing to have a space in your home to anchor, even just visually, where you're like, oh, right, I've got my deities, I've got some water from the Ganges in Rishikesh, I've got my harmonium, and
Wow.
just even seeing that visually to focus your mind on that relationship with the divine, I found to be very enriching. So
Mm.
typically I will get up, hey baby, I'm trying to have a conversation, so either join us and chill, or go get a book or something. Sorry.
so long.
Bless you. I love you, Cleo.
We all love you, Cleo.
So yeah, so I'll typically go in the morning to my altar, which is in my living room, and light some incense and just, you know, bow. I talk to my mum. I've got some photos of her. I've got Maharaj, a photo of him there.
Wow.
And then I'll start to do, if something comes up intuitively that I want to do, but I'll typically start to do my rounds, which are these guys, of japa meditation. Yeah.
So with the
And then
beads.
exactly. And then, you know, I'm because I'm a visual artist, and I make work with my hands when I'm in
Mm.
studio. I'm pretty much, I listen to kirtan a lot during the day. I've also been tuning in to your talks that you've been doing on Instagram Live,
Wow.
and
That's an
also
honor.
to yeah, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
And I've been checking in with Doyal and Virabhadra, who are also doing one with the Bhakti
Yeah.
Center every
Yeah.
morning. So yeah.
Wow. Amazing. I mean, there's so many practices there that everyone can kind of try out. Like even if it's having a sacred space, starting there, creating a small, it doesn't have to be an altar with gods on it. It can just be a sacred corner in your home where you say, this is my space for meditation. Just like you have a space for cooking food, for relaxing, for watching TV, for reading, etc., etc. This sacred space could be a place where you meditate, where you just take time for your own thoughts. And I highly recommend it because I think that having an environment which is physical, where you can just tune yourself into, it can make a huge difference on your lifestyle, on your mindset, etc. And then there's so many beautiful things you're sharing, even like lighting incense. It can just purify the atmosphere, make it feel a little bit more, you know, spiritual, high life kind of feel. And then bowing down, where the body goes, the mind follows. And so when you're bowing down. Many people like today are adverse to it. They're like, no, you know, why should I bow down to anything? I am all that needs to be. But when you come to a point where you realize that on my own strength, I can't do anything. On my own strength, I can only go so far before I need to open up to being in the receiver's mood with my hands open and saying, whatever the universe wants to send my way, whatever grace wants to send my way, let it come that way. Then you become open to the idea of maybe being humble and seeing that, okay, maybe I'm not all there is. I'm not, you know, as amazing, as talented, as beautiful, as successful as God, as divinity. And so this process of bowing down, me and Janavi were speaking about it, and it's such a sacred thing to do. Like we had this, we've now started this challenge where every day we're encouraging people to just wake up, and first thing you do is hit the floor, you know, bow down, mister, bow down, sister, just to see how that affects the mind. You know, first thing in the morning, instead of, you know, thinking today is going to be a day where I seize the day and I make something happen, let it be a day of, I'm going to see where this is a day where I can serve, a way in which I can see it as an opportunity for imbibing grace in my life, and you know, starting the day like that. And so there's so many practices. It's just mind blowing that, you know, all these practices that you're doing, they all have such beautiful meanings and reasons behind them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. You know, they say that grace, like a river, it flows downstream.
Yeah.
So you want to put yourself, we want that grace, we want to receive that grace.
For
so
sure.
you almost want to situate yourself as the lowest you possibly can be. And the experience of bowing to something like you, I think, to put your body in a submissive position like that, and to like give yourself time. Like, you don't want to just like bang, smack your head on the floor, jump up, right?
Yeah,
Until
right.
it's been done. But
yeah.
you know, when you bow to something and you honor it, and you might be bowing even to your inner child, you might be bowing to you know, it could be all types of esoteric things. It doesn't have to be physically like an altar or a deity. But when you bow and like you get down in that position and you take a breath and you take a minute, like it does, I think, physically encourage a sense of surrender and like you say, humbling, which does and can stay with you throughout the day. Oh, I see my dad's trying to call me now. It's like all the family trying to reach me. Yeah, I'm all for that. I love the idea of starting your day by bowing. It's wonderful. Yeah. A friend asked, I saw, she said, who's the name of that? Yeah, I just want to repeat the name of the singer. That's Janavi Harrison. And she's on Spotify and all of them, all of the channels, and she's just wonderful.
Yeah, she's sharing Kirtan every single day at 8 o'clock. So if you just check her out on Instagram, every day at 8 o'clock UK time, I think that makes it 3 p.m. New York.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, every day go check her out. She's definitely doing some amazing things and sharing mantra and sound, and it's really, really powerful. I wanted to see, before we close off, to ask you if you had any tips for our time. It's something that I've been asking every single person I've had a conversation with. That is there any advice, or even if it's not advice, is there anything that you feel is really working for you right now that you'd love to share with others that you feel would really make an impact in their lives?
Yeah, I've been taking some time to leave my phone in another room. You know, right now, as are so many of us, I'm consumed with worry and concern, and I'm on a million WhatsApp groups, and you know, you're checking the news and you're checking this, and I do get so much from social media as well, like talks that you guys do, but I can be with my screen a lot, and then that adds to a sense and go outside at some point during the day and just ground myself, put my toes in the grass if I can. It's a little harder in Brooklyn, but yeah, and just to sit and just like, I guess, just focus on like what is. Like, I remember yesterday closing my eyes and taking some breaths, and then thinking like, I can feel sun on my cheeks. And I can feel sun up here, and I can feel that I'm on a bench and I'm supported, and I kind of like did a scan and focused on everything that was in that present moment. It really helped my mind to not be all monkey mindish. And I have actually found during this time a return to my my bija mantra, my Vedic meditation practice, which never left me. Just sometimes it's a little more in the background, and my Bhakti practice is more in the fore. But I have found that to be really really enriching and fruitful right now, because I'm not sleeping very well, and it is such a restful type of meditation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all those things. And it's so true that, you know, now is a great time where replying to someone, there's no rush. You know, there's no rush to be on your phone to make sure things happening, boom, 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 boom. It doesn't need to happen in a rush. So it's okay to leave your phone for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours if you want. I'm really looking forward to Sunday because I've got nothing penciled in, no interviews, no conversations. So I promised my wife, all I'm going to do is put my phone in the drawer and we're just going to spend time together. Because there's no rush at all. And so I'm so grateful you mentioned that. And also just being mindful, being conscious, like you're saying, just go out and feeling the sensations of grace in the form of nature. You know, we're so blessed that we can even have this opportunity. Many people don't have the chance, perhaps because, you know, they're serving on the front line, trying to serve other people who are suffering. And so if you are someone that's watching and feel like you have the time to just go out and be present, then that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing this. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you, man, for your wisdom and advice.
No,
truly.
It's just a way of trying to serve others, to try and bring a community together where we can at least hear uplifting content, to hear something that we can try and practically apply in our lives. So I want to thank all of you for watching. Thank you, Zoë. And maybe we can all fold our hands virtually while we're watching and just send some blessings to Zoë and to Cleo, and just sending some love and happiness their way, that they may continue to be strong in their spiritual endeavors and their journey, that they may continue to share light and love with others, that they may continue to be in loving memory of all those that have served them, and to continue in all their endeavors to share love and bliss with the world. So maybe send your blessings now towards Zoë and Cleo. Taking a deep breath in and breathing out. Thank you all
received
so much.
with gratitude. I was receiving that, and I was also sending my blessings and gratitude to you guys, truly. Yeah. Did you see the full moon last night, by the way?
Yeah, I did. It's beautiful, right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that was another really great opportunity to just, I went outside and I looked at it. I made Cleo come with me. We bundled up, and I was like, you know, Cleo, this moon in a 24-hour cycle has done and will do touch everybody on this earth, the whole globe.
Wow.
We can ask the moon to help ease the suffering of everybody right now if we want to. And I can't really describe what she did, but she kind of just, like, as soon as she heard that, she kind of like just sunk into this mode of prayer. It was really beautiful.
Wow.
It was really beautiful. And we just were still with the moon, and you know, these things, just, I think a little bit of intention into things right now is really, really important. Yeah.
Add that intention for sure. Yeah, make these moments count, guys. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to twist Zoe's arm to doing another one, and next time we're going to try and choose a topic, maybe like surrender, or where the body goes, the mind flows. There's so many interesting things we can talk about.
I'm here for it.
Let's do it. I feel like there's something here that we can really make we can dive in. We can, you know, seek all these deeper truths together. But for now, I want to leave you guys, and thank you, Zoe, for all your kind time giving, for sharing with us all. We've got so many wonderful conversations. Is there any way that people can connect with you? Anything that you're doing that you want to shout out, perhaps, that people can connect with?
Yeah, just connect with me via Instagram or through my website. My email's on there. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful.
Really.
Thank you. And if you guys are interested, we've got so many wonderful conversations going on. Tomorrow, I'm speaking with my soul sister, Banu Nandani from Germany. And then on Friday, I've got a conversation with Raghunath, which is going to be awesome. We're going to speak about Bhakti life and all the wonderful things that he's doing, anything that comes to mind. And I'm sure with him, it'll always go philosophical and deep. So I'm not worried about the topic too much.
Yes.
I'm sure he's going to take it wherever he sees inspired to. So that's all to come up. But thank you all so much. And Zoe, it's been a pleasure. Speak soon.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Haribol.
Bye.
Bye.